not proactive. A lot of games just felt like they were just bleeding out. And I'm concerned that now they've lost that identity and they've lost that aggression. Granted, they had some of the worst laning stats in the league after that initial, honeymoon phase, but at least it was a team that I felt like can take games off of anyone just off of the willingness to go in and all do the same thing at the same time.
I mean, that said, I would still probably favor Golden Guardian against either one of those lineups because they've looked pretty good recently, even though they had a bit of a down week last week. They had some pretty good plays, all things considered. AblazeOlive got a little too hypey. He tweeted afterwards that he feels like online, because they're not in studio, it feels like some of the scrim feelings bleed in. You go for those plays that are like, 40, 60s, but screw it.
Yeah.
And I feel like they just need to dial it back a little bit in this final week against these kind of opponents that they're playing, which are closer to their skill level.
Yeah.
Well, it does feel a little bit like the onus is more on Golden Guardians here as the team that is one game behind. Obviously, both teams want the victory in this one, and as we dive into Champions Select, first time Syndra will be left up today, and it goes to the red side team.
Yeah, and Syndra is higher in priority because her Q got buffed, so she has better laning phase. But I want to talk about what I want to see FlyQuest do. Considering they've had such poor laning, I want them to hyper-focus on picking lane-dominant champs, right? Like, I want them to be looking into picks like LeBlanc or Lucian. Like, I want them to just focus on getting out of laning phase as even as possible because they've been so far behind in many of these games that it feels like they need to make a crazy play to come back, and I don't think that's a sustainable strategy.
I like the Ziggs coming through. It's obviously been banned a lot, but Ziggs is just such a powerhouse, and I like the way that teams have been playing it with like a triple melee top, which it looks like we're gonna get the Kench, so I'm assuming Viego, jungle, and Kench either top or mid. We've already talked about how, because Golden Guardians were the first to pick it, but how strong he is in lane. I've already said how I am personally a fan of the solo lane Kench. So I think this goes really well with the Ziggs pickup. If you're gonna have Ziggs on that bot side, having a really, really strong top side is important.
I also think you could argue it's a bit of a takeaway against Golden Guardians. Even though the Syndra we all expect to go mid, technically it is a flex bot lane. We have seen it a number of times this year already. That's before the changes came in. So I think there's a world where, 9 times out of 10 Golden Guardians is going to send that mid. But with Kench up, there's this possibility that, Blaze takes that, you put that bot lane, you have some AD threat that you're going to take in the top lane and jungle. So I do actually kind of like that takeaway. Also just as a generically strong pick for FlyQuest to play.
Plot twist. Maybe Olive is taking Trist, and then we're.
I mean,
I'm kidding.
Technically,
I'm kidding. I don't expect
Unlikely,
that to happen.
but possible.
Yeah.
Well, it's just surprising given that a lot of the priority AD carries are still available. You could argue like Varus is up, and you have a couple things like that with only the Kalista banned. It is a little surprising to see the Trist early, which makes me think it is probably still a bit of a flex pick.
I mean, so the Trist is picked after seeing the Ziggs. We technically don't know where that Ziggs is going either, but a number of teams having taken it to the bot lane more recently.
My guess is bot lane.
Right. Yeah. Is Trist, do we feel that is an adequate response to what can be pretty oppressive laning power from Ziggs, just if they have the early levels and are able to push in under turret? Feels like Trist is one of the safer picks in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you can, as long as you're actually able to hit the wave, which makes it maybe a little support dependent, but otherwise I would expect Trist to have the shove against Ziggs in the early levels.
Melee Leona.
I mean, that's what I was saying. It depends. Like, if you put Tahm Kench bot lane, I mean, like, this thing has been a big question mark. Yeah.
I hope not. I really just don't. I think you take away so much of the post, transformation Tahm Kench. You take away so much of his power by putting him bot side. The Olaf is pretty interesting here. There's a...
Let's go!
I expected to see this from IMT, actually, because Onda's been spamming it, and I know that Xerxes plays it. So Golden Guardians bringing it out is really fun.
Canyon played it
And
2 weeks ago?
He did, yeah.
2 weeks ago?
He did, yeah. And what I like about this in the Golden Guardians draft is it just complements the ability to go in, constantly. They're already drafting a composition with the Leona where you're gonna be hyper aggressive, and you already have a really immobile carry in the Ziggs. So there's so many ways to punish this from FlyQuest side, from the Golden Guardian side on FlyQuest. On the contrary, for FlyQuest, I think this is a pretty difficult draft for them.
Oh, I really like this comp.
Okay, let's talk about why.
Honestly, if they round it out, with the Camille Galio. So first of all, I know you guys are probably already sick of me complaining about how we don't play enough Camille, which has started to slowly change. But then additionally, Camille Galio, just such an easy comp. You both go in, you support each other. You have the tanky Kench in the mid lane, Viego jungle, and Ziggs just constantly firing bombs from the back line. Additionally, he can also layer his ult on top of the Camille ult, on top of the Galio ult. This is actually just such a great combination. I was not expecting sending the Galio mid.
That's what I was going to ask. Hey, there's still 25 seconds where the teams can make swaps. My curiosity is whether or not that Galio is going to be support or going to be mid.
The only thing I'll say about the Galio mid, and I know it's awkward with the Tahm Kench because we don't like good support, the Galio mid is a better snowballing win con of your topside carry potential. So if you put the Tahm Kench mid, he can roam, he can get out of lane. It's still not great, and you're going to have a hard time shoving against Syndra.
Especially against Syndra.
Yeah, so it's still not a great matchup for Galio mid, but you can stack waves and get top a little bit easier with the ultimate and just dive the Renekton. Or
they locked it in. They did it. I called it.
Okay. Oh, Syndra is going by.
I didn't mean to
just
call
like that. Okay.
And another thing I do want to point out from both of these teams actually is the triple TP. I've talked about how Golden Guardians really like to use triple TP to be able to collapse and do those early dives that they love. And this, I mean, both teams are taking it. But I think for Golden Guardians specifically, it's something that we've seen as a hallmark of their team because they all do want to kind of collapse and go for turrets early, especially in their side lanes. We've seen them do this before.
The other little wrinkle I'll throw in is that the Tristana has a better matchup a little bit into the Galio because when Galio gets his flash taunt, you can sometimes punish the Syndra. It's a little bit harder in the auto attack and just being able to hit the Galio over and over and over again. You don't care about his magic shield really. It's a little bit better. A lot of AD carry matchups are favorable to Galio.
How do you expect it to play out, at least in the early levels? Where's the pressure for each team? Which lane?
FlyQuest going top.
FlyQuest going top.
Yeah, and I think Golden Guardians will have pressure mid. I think they also will have they can have pressure top in the Renekton and Camille matchup. Depends on how much jungle interference.
It really depends on jungle.
Yeah. So I expect that it's going to be a very top focused game in general. I personally, I like the FlyQuest draft for like the mid game and team fights. I still am concerned about their weak laning phase overall, and I don't think that they've drafted accordingly to shore that up. But I'd love to be surprised.
The Syndra Leona bot lane as well is one where you can probably 100-0 a lot of people. The Tahm Kench though actually could be annoying here to devour the Ziggs if you try and 100-0 him, or you just have great health for yourself. And so while I don't normally love it, in this specific bot lane, nullifying some of that burst potential, I don't know if I hate it.
He might just be able to stand as kind of a meat shield for a little bit too, which is, I mean, not as interactive or fun to watch, but will help protect his carry. So
I think the hope for FlyQuest is that, look, as Emily said, when you're running Camille Galio, if you can get into that backline, especially within a mobile Syndra, like you can just burst them and make it immediately a 5v4. So I think that's what FlyQuest is looking to do. And overall, I think if they can get out of laning phase comfortably, they can execute on that win condition. But based on what I've seen in the past, I'm not super confident that's going to be happening.
A small audio issue for the teams, which is why we're taking a pause here before we dive into the game. But it's peculiar, not peculiar. It's interesting to me that the FlyQuest comp is the way it is because from one perspective, if they are at an even or a head state, it does feel very straightforward how they want to execute, given the ultimates and who is kind of the focus. But I also then am concerned about the early game and making sure that they are getting to a place in the mid game where they are at even footing. If they're not well coordinated around getting that Galio out of mid lane and up there to help in the top lane, it could become disaster.
Yeah, and you have to be careful with Zach, right? Because one of the things that makes Zach such an interesting pick is he has so many creative gank angles. So when you have a champ like this who your standard wards are not necessarily going to cover, you have to be really, really smart about tracking the jungler early game.
Well, it's the battle for the postseason here between FlyQuest and Golden Guardians, and we've got the Demacia Vice here to give us the call.
Welcome, everybody. Happy to see you. I'm Captain Flowers. This is Raz, and we will be guiding you through our last 3 games of the day here today. Starting off with FlyQuest and Golden Guardians, 1 game apart in the standings with 3 left to play. It's all coming down to week 9.
Yep, it's good to be back here, Flowers. Of course, to your point, both these teams darting for that final spot in the playoffs. And both these teams kind of came up with a really disappointing last week. 0-3 for both of them. You know, FlyQuest has been a 5-game losing streak, 4 games for Golden Guardians. So one of them has to win here, and it puts them in a headway position for that spot.
And of course, with that roster shakeup, things are going to be interesting here too, right? FlyQuest 2.0 is now FlyQuest 3.0. We'll see if they got the magic or if this update is just not what they're looking for. Golden Guardians, on the other hand, would love to be able to get out of that rut there at the bottom of the standings, make it into playoffs, make some sort of moves happen. But
hey!
It's a long road.
It's just nice to see the Argentinian Terminator, JoseDeodo, back in the lineup, right? Because, like, for so long we haven't seen him because of all the changes, the problems that FlyQuest has, but he's just such a damn good mechanical player, and he has a composition around him. I mean, it's a typical Camille Galio comp. Listening to the desk talk about it, the team fights are going to be strong, they scale really well, and, you know, they have multiple win conditions. If that doesn't pan out, they can play on sides.
Okay, now let's go ahead and see what's going to go down with our junglers this game. We heard the desk talking a bit how jungle is going to have a lot to do this game. As Tomo gets jumped on here nice and early at level 1, Chime just doing what he can to apply some pressure.
Yeah, I'm expecting Iconic to be in a farming spree. People do tend to look towards the creativity of a Zac because you do have that extended range, but you do need levels underneath you. So I'm expecting Golden Guardians. They are playing relatively safe. They have triple teleport on their sides, including Stixxay, so it allows Iconic to comfortably farm his camps. He doesn't even need to fight for Scuttle Crab, but if he notices that top Scuttle Crab is being you know, taken by JoseDeodo, then he can go straight bot side, but he's warded out here, so yeah, this is going to be a pretty clear way for JoseDeodo to play. Go top Crab, and then just go straight through mid to bot.
Yep, JoseDeodo's got those eyes on the enemy jungler, and as neither of our junglers are making those very, very early plays, a quick reminder, you just saw it on your screen a moment ago, but if you want a little bit more Dash and Kobe in your life, be sure to check out This or That. That's coming out every week on that LOL Esports YouTube. So let's go ahead and see what's going on in the bottom lane. Tomo's in some trouble. Tahm Kench coming in with a save, but it's not enough. And Chime's got the first blood. Retaliation kill coming through for Diamond, 1 for 1.
That would have turned disastrous for you know, Golden Guardians. I mean, that was just a great engage overall on top of Tomo. Losing his flash, though, hitting the wall, really unfortunate, but nice recovery from Diamond to still be able to get that kill. Love what Golden Guardians have been doing in the bot lane, because even though that resulted in a kill for them, even before that, they were getting a lot of positive trades on towards the Ziggs. So taking a second look at this one, just to be sure. I mean, great stun from Stixxay into a follow-up from Leona.
Oh, yeah. And then the flash doesn't really get him a whole lot of value there, and feels bad, man.
Honestly, that would have been a straight 1 for 0 there for Diamond if that flash had registered.
It was just way too far away. I mean, you're at the thickest part of the wall. You're not really going to get through any of that, so doesn't exactly feel good, but hey, 1 for 1, nice and early on. This is what I like about the Tahm Kench rework. He's no longer the no fun allowed third summoner spell from level 1 who's just like, oh, nope, no PvP, don't know what you're doing there, bud.
Yep.
Instead, you just get violence, and that's what I want in my bottom lane.
Put them paws up. Start scrapping.
Exactly.
I love it.
Now, up here on the top side, we're going to see some pressure onto Kumo. He's able to hook shot, recognize what's going on, knows that those waves are about to crash into the turret, knows what Golden Guardians want to do, won't let him have it.
Yeah, we're having a lot of violence on the map. I mean, the one to point out that I'm surprised by is the fact that Kumo definitely took a poor trade, and so he's going to come in back into the lane with the TP disadvantage and was in a position for a dive, so good call for him to come back into lane. Or at least to leave lane really early on so he wasn't put in that position. But smart for Licorice, he comes back into the lane not having used his TP. That does mean that Golden Guardians put themselves in a position to get first dragon. There's no way that FlyQuest want to contest this knowing that they're down TP.
And one thing that I love about both compositions in this game is both compositions have very powerful engage mechanisms.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm watching two of the lower ranked teams in the league, I love seeing them draft options and opportunities to play the game when and where they are best suited for success. Seeing a wombo combo like Camille plus Galio plus a Ziggs bomb plus having the Tahm Kench jump in there and all that, that's huge for FlyQuest. And on the other side, Zac plus Leona, so much range and engage.
Exactly. I think FlyQuest, for me, for sure, I would double down on that because the Galio Camille has been a combination for a very long time, and it's been a very easy one to strike. I mean, for teams that are opposing them, Renekton is usually good later on in the game because if you do double him up, ultimate, He usually has a little bit more damage within his kit, so he can fight back on that a little bit more. But even then, it's just really hard to deal with because JoseDeodo is going to be clued in, so that's going to be the play on the map that they're going to be sending more members than you would expect. So FlyQuest, very clear teamfight definition. For Golden Guardians, it can be hard later on in the game just because they have that Syndra in the bot lane.
Okay, JoseDeodo will secure that Scuttle Crab, give him the thumbs up as he makes his way out. Of course, Jose is perfectly happy fighting a Zac in a 1v1 as Viego. The champion excels at just being able to smack on meatball champions the whole time, but with AblazeOlive having priority in the mid lane, not really a viable option at that point, as you'll see Kumo just continuing to farm up however many minions he can find with the wave crashing into the turret. He will lose a couple there to the turret aggro, but Licorice is doing a good job continuing to control this lane and hold that CS advantage.
Yeah, that's why I want to see what Golden Guardians can do with the push that they have in both mid, top lane. Eventually, it's the same case for bot lane as well. You do want to start pressing in and contesting blue buff, red buff, these things like that. You don't want to contest when Dragon is available, so you can play towards your win con a little bit more. Because what I see for Golden Guardians is that if they get early stacking on Dragon starting, especially knowing that the first Dragon is Cloud, so it's inevitably going to be something that's really beneficial for team fighting, that would be great for them with their early game focus, or at least early mid game focus comp. So that's something that I would really want to see from Golden Guardians. And if they can play for more, then please press for more.
By all means.
Exactly. So, good call out for Mark on the desk, the fact that they swapped for the Tristana mid lane matchup, because not much Palafox can do here.
Yeah, AblazeOlive just having a great time, has about that 2-wave advantage, and the Golden Guardians with 800 gold as their lead with the kills tied up means that these farm leads are showing up just across the board. 2 waves in bottom lane, 2 waves here in mid lane, 2 waves up in the top lane. Jungle, yeah, that's favoring JoseDeodo by 1 camp. You take those.
Yeah, you do. Especially if you're on the Zac and you just want to focus more on, your farm. You want to be able to, if you're even or just a little bit behind in terms of farming of the Viego, then you're really happy as a Zac. You're playing your composition as a primary engage and just...
You're the tank.
Exactly. You're just trying to soak up damage. And if I'm looking at where he wants to play, sure, you're going top lane because that's where the pressure from Licorice is stacking. But eventually, I would like to see them play towards bot lane. A bot lane dive, I think, would be really nice. Or at least if it's on a bounce back. If you can gank that lane when it's bouncing back towards the Syndra Leona, that's ideal.
Okay, here comes your Galio Camille Wombo combo! Licorice is the target, but he's trying to turn it around here a little bit. Palafox comes in, gets the taunt, and the Winds of War seal the deal. FlyQuest get their 2nd kill this game. Tomo is stunned, but a nice cleanse makes sure there's no follow-up. Diamond's still only level 5, so no Devour on the Tahm Kench right now.
Yeah, it was a good look from Licorice to try and turn that one back, but the passive was there from Kumo. And on top of that, I mean, Renekton was already starting that fight off at half HP, so really good call from FlyQuest to make that play happen. And it looks like it's going to be JoseDeodo eating up the mid wave in the meantime.
Back up in the top side river, Iconic will be aggroing this Rift Herald, looking to use AblazeOlive's priority in mid lane, along with the fact that the play already happened up there in top to try to secure this. The FlyQuest are ready to respond. They got multiple players rotating over. Chime also coming up all the way from bottom lane. FlyQuest seeing the extra man here, but now they're ready to respond themselves. Licorice going to be your target here, having to dash away. Iconic jumps in, but won't quite find that just yet. Rift Herald will be secured there with a smite. Chime flashes in for the Zenith Blade. JoseDeodo going to be your target, having to walk away from this one. The Winds of War coming back, looking for a little bit more damage as Kumo's coming into the Golden Guardians lines now. AblazeOlive having to flash back out. Kumo gets first kill of the fight over on the enemy support. FlyQuest wants to continue disengaging, but the kill on the diamond comes through for Stixxay. Iconic continues to tank as AblazeOlive gets a kill on the enemy top laner and a double kill onto Jose. Iconic loses the passive, but that is all until you get the double kill coming out for Tomo. 2 dead from the Golden Guardians. Multiple dead on the side of FlyQuest as well. 5-4, and Raz, it is a bloodbath.
Yeah, and it slightly is an edge towards Golden Guardians. Not only are they taking this huge wave topside, turret plates on top of that, so that's at least from the outset is a win. They got an extra man with Tahm Kench going down, and they got the Rift Herald on top of that. So the re-engage for Chime was incredibly beneficial.
Nice job from Tomo there in the mid lane, buffering the satchel charge jump through that stun from the Leona ultimate as well, guaranteeing that he's not going to get caught out there. Let's take another look at how it went down.
Yeah, the timing initially was a little rough because TP was just coming up from Syndra, so she had to make the full walk towards the top side. But the re-engage from Chime, it was all based on the fact that, sure, we are pretty low. The Zac still has passive, so he's willing to sacrifice his life for the team. Great ultimate from Stixxay to get the kill on towards Tahm Kench. So even when Tomo does join up, doesn't have the mana, and cannot actually, I guess he does end up getting the kill. But overall, Golden Guardians have already completed the fight. So they were on a strict timer. Syndra got there a little bit earlier, and that was the difference.
Look at the damage comparison here. It was mid laners showing up huge here, but then everybody contributing so much. I mean, you almost had 8 players out of the 10 on the map all hitting 4 digits worth of damage in the fight. I mean, Zac was 27 away, so I'm going to round it up and still count it as being in that same club. Everybody contributing there, massive fight going down. And now with that Rift Herald reward, it's the Golden Guardians, Raz, who despite being down a single kill, are up 3,000 gold 12 minutes into this game.
Yeah, and a lot of it's coming into the pockets of that Tristana and the Syndra. The Syndra was probably the biggest winner of the fight. They were trying to get advantages bot side. They ended up getting the kill that went towards Chime. But overall have been trying to find that one skirmish that would come into her favor, and that topside fight, really damn easy. I think a lot of it comes down to what we were talking about the comps. Easy to execute, multiple engage points. Syndra was just another great pick in a long fight where she got 2 rotations of her spells.
And down here in bottom lane, it's FlyQuest trying to grab themselves a little bit more. Licorice jumps in on Tomo when they get the Tahm Kench ulti. Sad Zoe just saying goodbye. Licorice got a lot of damage there, scared him a bit. AblazeOlive wants to get away from Kumo, but it's not going to happen when Palafox has his back. Say goodbye, say goodnight. FlyQuest pick up number 6.
Yeah, if you want to push past River, you do need Zac there for you. They had Leona all the way in the bot side of the map that was covering for Licorice, expecting him to get dove at some point. Seems like now knowing that JoseDeodo, or at least the Galio went top side, they're going to try for something in the bot side of the map, but really intelligent from Diamond and Tomo to back away over this. So that's just going to be a good lesson for AblazeOlive next time.
Now, the Golden Guardians still having a very sizable lead at this point in the game. Raz, talk to me a little bit about what you particularly want to see from this FlyQuest roster that we are seeing these players together as 5 for the first time. To stop this, because they're coming in with the TP plays. Chime could be the target here, but it's Licorice that they're going to focus their sights on first. He gets away there with a nice bit of healing, but he will be brought down despite that. Chime will now be your next target. Hookshot comes through. Stopwatch will buy him a moment, but I don't think it'll get him much more than that. Chime continues to be focused down. A double kill now back over to Kumo. Iconic stays alive with a nice use of the Let's Bounce. AblazeOlive and Stixxay are here, but it's a 5-man effort from FlyQuest, and they get 2 for nothing.
Hey, anybody on the desk or the fans that were concerned about FlyQuest not having, those fangs, wanting to look aggressively for those plays, that was a great example of it. They had TP wards ready for them. They ended up going for it. Really well done. Even though it did expend both TPs, so the next dragon that does come up, they're not necessarily going to have that ready. This is a huge bounty for that. So, of course, control ward, you can definitely clear that one out. That ward in the bottom side that's been there for some time, I mean, that's just something that, you're going to get surprised on. So, good call initially. I do think the moment you start off this play, I mean, let Licorice die. He was already pretty low in HP. And if they're expending 2 TPs for 1 kill, you're happy about that. Chime comes in, tries to help out, and dies too. So that's going to be 2 kills for those 2 TPs, calling it work.
Not just a death as well, but anytime I see someone use their stopwatch and the play still goes the way that it would have without that, that's a kill and a half to me. Because the stopwatch, one-time use, huge tide turner in a team fight if used correctly, doesn't do a damn thing if not. So there you go. Chime ends up dropping dead, loses that active.
And to answer your question initially about what I want to see from FlyQuest, even if that play didn't happen, you have great side lane advantage. And I'm not even just talking about the fact that Galio and Camille is like the core and crux of your composition. Ziggs' ultimate is definitely going to give you a semi-global to balance that out. And another thing is, Tahm Kench, he may have lost that semi-global himself, but it's still going to be a pretty large asset in those larger fights. So I would love to see FlyQuest, if they're behind, play to your sides a little bit more and try and trade If you're ahead, then yeah, for sure, force these team fights.
Okay, Kumo's going all the way in, but it's disengaged. AblazeOlive yeeting him back out of the ulti, and now you're going to see Palafox stuck in the middle of 4. Golden Guardians are able to punch back this time, and they punch back hard.
They just had no control of any vision of that river. Golden Guardians were always going to make that play, so really confusing. 1 minute and 20 seconds too. Golden Guardians are not only going to get that fight, this push towards bot side, the vision is also going to be in their advantage before next Dragon, so FlyQuest probably don't want to touch that for a little bit.
And I mean, Hextech Ultimatum, normally it's one of those things where, hey, you don't get to leave unless Camille says you get to leave because she has to leave the area.
Yes.
Tristana just says no. Tristana throws you out, all of a sudden the ultimatum's gone, there's Hextech nothing, and you can walk away. Very easy stuff. Ziggs bomb comes out to try to clear the wave, not enough. And the tier 2 turret falls here in the bottom lane. The 4th turret of the game taken by the Golden Guardians. Raz, FlyQuest still got a donut. There is no structures down on the side of the Golden Guardians, and it's resulting in a massive early game gold lead for the Guardians.
Yeah, it's getting rough. At least if you were to look at their perspective, they got the first Dragon, so it feels more and more like it's going to be a Baron type of game if Golden Guardians are going to remain in control for some time. So at least you would have that in your back pocket, but the problem is the vision is continuously going on the side of Golden Guardians. In fact, they're going to contest for this.
JoseDeodo starting up the Rift Herald is able to secure. The eyeball has not been picked up. It remains on the ground. JoseDeodo continuing to run. Licorice has the Dominus active, but he will not be able to cut Jose off in time. Golden Guardians are maintaining control over the topside river. They do want to block FlyQuest from being able to pick this up. So it looks like Jose's just going to get the 100 gold. Iconic too far forward, though. Trying to survive. He gets knocked into the passive. The cavalry wants to arrive and protect those bloblets, but they cannot do it. JoseDeodo grabbing a kill now. That's going to be a kill back onto him in response. Jungler for jungler. Kumo's at about 100 HP. He's got to try to get away from this one, but no! Licorice with the kill in the blue buff pit as Diamond tries to get away, but he is running to the wrong base. Tahm Kench is not long for this world. Back on the bench you go. Who are they going to give the kill over to? Stixxay is in a killing spree.
Yeah, I mean, Golden Guardians are just muscling them. FlyQuest thought they got a quick pick, but remember, Zach's going to be there for a long time with his passive up now. Golden Guardians, their mentality was defend the eye and then go straight for Dragon, and they were able to do more than that. So this game is spiraling in Golden Guardians' favor. FlyQuest needs to be able to find a play. So going back, give him Dragon. Continue to do so. Try and find a play on side lane. If Licorice shows his head, go for it. Because that's what FlyQuest needs right now to get back into this game.
FlyQuest at least got their first turret now 18 minutes into the game. They take out the tier 1 in the bottom lane, get themselves a little bit of gold from that, but it is still just about a 6,000 gold difference here between these teams. And with Golden Guardians taking the 2nd Dragon of the game at all the way almost 19 minutes in. Yeah. We're only on Drake number 2. This is not going to be a Dragon Soul game.
For sure. It's going to be centered around Baron. I think Golden Guardians have a really good, I mean, this is when Zach comes into play now.
Yeah.
Long range engage, solid follow-up from Leona as well. If Licorice is playing it correctly, he should be on a flank. It's going to be really difficult from FlyQuest to get out of those setups. So these are the things that they do need to think about. And the tankier Licorice gets, the less effective these side lane plays of Galio and Camille end up being.
And man, oh man, with that gold lead ballooning higher and higher as we march forward, not even 20 minutes in, almost up to 7K, FlyQuest have got to be concerned about the current state of the game, about the current tempo of things as Golden Guardians continues building this lead further and further. It feels like 1 or 2 more fights. No, I'm not even going to say 2. Forget 2. We don't need that number. 1 more bad fight that just slips away from FlyQuest, and it feels totally doomed.
Yeah. I mean, if you're just looking at the primary winners on Golden Guardian's side, we're getting so close to LDR now from AblazeOlive. He like having his 2 core items of Phantom Dancer and Kraken is pretty insane at this moment in the game. He can just full burst just about everyone, maybe except for Jose. I mean, JoseDeodo doesn't even have his core item either.
And then look at the itemization on Stixxay as well. Zhonya's Hourglass complete. If there is one thing that's going to get you out of a Camille, Galio, Ziggs bomb combo, that is the perfect answer.
Yeah.
So this Syndra with 7 out of 8 kill participation and no deaths is looking to stay there. You can see Golden Guardians have started up the Baron, but with a Ziggs bomb thrown into the pit, they will walk away now. Licorice using the Dominus, so they will not have that if a fight is to break out. FlyQuest will get Golden Guardians to leave that objective alone, but this is the kind of power Golden Guardians has in this game state, Raz. They can just start it up and demand an answer.
Exactly. At least in this case, you know, it's just a little cheeky from Golden Guardians, seeing if they can get that pickup of Baron. But this is the correct response from FlyQuest, denying waves bot side, having Camille continuously push so she can actually get her items this game. So Golden Guardians, I don't think they're going to try that one more time. I think the next time they're going to go for something, it's probably going to be around Dragon in 3 minutes. But if they go for Baron, it's going to be with Renekton's push first. If you see that play happening from Galio towards bot lane, you then instantly start Baron.
Ooh, nice punish here. AblazeOlive, he tries to disengage there. He buster shots the Camille, but she's not out of the ultimatum as he jumps, so he still hit the wall of Hextech ultimatum and had to use the flash.
This is concerning. This is the second time from Olive where he's passed River, but he doesn't have the support of either Chime or Iconic. They were on the bot side of the map, so these are just the type of things you have to be careful for, and he lost his flash for that. So you definitely don't want to see that again because you are the primary gold holder.
Now, talking about gold, the lead continues to bleed further away from FlyQuest. It is now up to that 7,000 gold mark. How do they stop this?
Yeah, and he just got LDR too. Olive is rich, and he's got stopwatch waiting for the next fight. So, from FlyQuest,
that's not that's not what you want to hear.
Well, maybe a 3-man taunt, you know, from Galio. You got to find a really sick play. If they can get in and out knowing that you got flash off Olive, Olive has to be your primary person. Blow him up before his jump ends up being a difference maker.
Okay.
Or even if you don't get the kill, then you know you don't have Olive for the rest of the fight, or at least until he TPs back in. It's hard. We're climbing up that mountain cap.
It is difficult. We're
climbing up that mountain cap. The Fly fam need to really find an insane fight from Galio, taunts, to really get back in it.
It's so hard, too, to make that Galio-Camille combo work the way you want it to. And even if you're not jumping on Tristana, she can still yeet Camille away from whoever does get jumped on and make it so the ultimatum is released. Now the Baron is already down to about 1/3 HP. You can see Golden Guardians. They're staying on it. They're now looking to turn. They want to go after FlyQuest. Baron's still aggroed. Ziggs bomb back into the pit. Now Baron's going to be secured. Iconic with the smite. Golden Guardians now seeing if there's any follow-up to be done. Diamond fails to flash over the wall. However, the engage doesn't find the mark, so he'll still stay safe. No kills, no fight. Baron to Golden Guardians.
Hey, Stixxay Chime playing the role of bouncers in the river, saying you're not allowed in, sir.
No.
Great job overall, giving Iconic time, and they recognize Ziggs bomb was really the only thing FlyQuest had to steal it, so playing around the numbers are really well so we don't have a disaster here. Well done from Golden Guardians. If I remember last week, my biggest issues is that they lost 2 very winnable games. Versus CLG, they had a humongous gold lead, and essentially they played around Fog of War really poorly. And then versus Team Liquid is just team fighting. So for me, this is a really calm Golden Guardians with the lead that they have, and they're not willing to give it up after those 2 mistakes they had last week.
Okay, on to another Drake here for the Golden Guardians. Again, both teams only at 1 Drake each, 24 minutes into the game. Soul is a long, long way away, but Golden Guardians will take that next step towards it. And then we're going to have just shy of 2 minutes here on our Red Bull Baron buff for Golden Guardians to build this lead even further. Up from 7K to, I think 10K is very reachable by the time that this purple fades away.
Yes. And, I mean, these jungle camps are no longer in control of FlyQuest, and that, for me, is the biggest thing. The fact that the experience difference is only going to get larger. Raptors and Krugs are being taken from by Golden Guardians. And JoseDeodo is now just going to be, you know, largely stagnating, while having to also defend mid lane from Tristana and Syndra. Syndra doesn't have much mana here, so I think Golden Guardians do need to base.
Licorice on the flank, dealing with Kumo. Top laners have found each other while everybody else is grouped up. Cannon Minion in mid lane doing work to chip away at that tier 2. Golden Guardians still trying to keep applying pressure here, but not a lot of split pressure with this Baron.
Yeah, and so that's the big problem, is if you do end up getting Baron, you're asking yourselves, what can we actually accomplish with this one? So Dragon was picked up. They completely foregoed like getting top lane wave. But now that Stixxay did expend TP, they can go for a final push here.
Okay, Zach charging up the slingshot, but considering FlyQuest are just going to surrender that tier 2, there's not really anything to engage on. 8,000 gold lead now. All tier 2 turrets have been erased from the map, and Golden Guardians are charged with the task of breaking into the base.
Yeah, Ziggs duty. Anytime Golden Guardians are trying to go for a push here, mid lane more importantly, Ziggs has been doing a great job kind of defending against that. If Golden Guardians want to do anything, they need to find a dive.
Yeah. Ziggs feels like one of those champions that demands a Baron push to be able to break inhibitor line when you're against him. And even then, you've got to coordinate well to guarantee that the dive works. Because of Satchel Charge, because of Stasis, he has a lot of tools to avoid those. So I want to see how Golden Guardians is able to play this. They only have 2 seconds left on the Baron. If there's a play to be made, it's got to be made now, or they just back off, wait for the next one.
Yep, not happening. And also the next wave isn't going to be synchronized either. This wave's just crashing in as the next one's coming in about 10 seconds. So good call overall from Golden Guardians. But the Baron really wasn't that effective. It actually only gave a lot more experience to FlyQuest. And it comes down to, you know, if you ask teams how long you feel like this game is going to go, there really is a bit of a question mark. So taking Dragon while Syndra's, you know, expending a lot of mana, having her, you know, TP and all that, they did waste a lot of time. But at least it gave Golden Guardians that insurance policy if they do mess up, that they still have the Dragon count.
Yep, Golden Guardians 2-1 in terms of Drakes. Baron will be back on the map here in just over 2 minutes. FlyQuest can breathe a sigh of relief that, hey, at least the base is still intact. There are no inhibitor turrets gone. There are no vulnerable inhibitors that Golden Guardians can try to force a fight on. But that's about as far as the silver linings go, my friend, because this is still a dark cloud over their heads, and Golden Guardians are still very much in control.
Yeah, I would say that FlyQuest would have a chance if Camille had a little bit of more goal in her pocket, but I mean, she's doing the best she can. I think she's also having to respond to the pushing that Golden Guardians are doing in the other 2 lanes. So she actually just can't play sides reliably here. So she's always going to have to push one wave and then lean towards what Golden Guardians are trying for, because if she's just not there, that's an easy dive for Golden Guardians and it's lights out.
Okay, so Void Staff just now completed for Tomo on the Ziggs, so 3-item power spike for him with that Horizon focus in there as well to guarantee he's getting all that max range damage. I like the fact that Kumo's got the Ravenous Hydra on the Camille to just guarantee how much extra push he can have. He'll have it, right?
Yeah.
In a situation where you're stuck in the base, that is invaluable. Over on the other side, Thornmail on Iconic means aggressive application of Grievous Wounds. You love to see that against champions like Viego, like Camille. And then you still have no deaths on this Syndra. I'm always a little bit reluctant whenever I see AD carry players lock in a mage, because some of them play it a lot better than others.
Yep.
But it's going really well for Stixxay right now.
He's definitely had a few mage play underneath him. Oh no.
Okay, there's your engage coming out from Iconic. Galio has brought himself into the fray. Palafox trying to stay alive here as Iconic gets out. Palafox down to about 10%. He's got to disengage. Golden Guardians will not be able to find any kills here.
Yeah, they didn't get much. They didn't even get the flash of...
Oh, but we're not done. Nice interrupt there on the hook shot. Iconic shows up now. Looking to get those stretching strikes. Kumo still in the stasis, staying alive for now. Hextech ultimatum, another hook shot gets him away. And Golden Guardians again denied the kill.
And it's FlyQuest escaping a lot of this without having to use any of their sums. Flash is still intact from Tomo. Same goes for Diamond. Only really using ultimate to, you know, at least Tahm Kench ultimate to get themselves out of there. Golden Guardians will still be a little happy that they get Dragon off this, but it's getting dicier and dicier. They don't have the wave there to commit to the dive there for Kumo, so Zach was getting a lot of damage underneath them. So, you know, FlyQuest are holding on.
FlyQuest have to just try to find some sort of way to outplay these guys, but it is so difficult with the lead that Golden Guardians have built for themselves, with the tankiness of this composition as well, having the Zac, the Leona, the Renekton that can all go in with essentially very low risk for how big their gold lead is and what their champions can do. And we are now at soul point for the Golden Guardians. 5 more minutes and they will have a mountain soul on top of those 3 meatballs as well.
Exactly. We're at that breaking point now where FlyQuest, I mean, they're looking to be creative for a reason. The fact that we're going towards a mountain soul and the mountain resistances itself is already being multiplied on Chime and Iconic, these team fights are going to get better here for Golden Guardians. They're going straight for it.
And you can see FlyQuest, they're not putting up any sort of a fight for this. We might see a Ziggs ult fly through. That's about all I would guess that they could muster for this.
Here it is.
Walking up, there comes the bomb, and Nope, nice smite from Iconic.
That was close.
Indeed.
Close.
That's one of those ones you grit your teeth a little bit.
Yep. You just zooming into your own jungler, just hoping that the D button is pressed.
Yeah,
oh, actually, F, yep.
Yep. Hoping that they've got the right mechanics, and yes, he's got the timing down. Iconic secures Baron number 2 for the Golden Guardians. And now with a 10,000 gold lead, now with Soul Point, let's see what they got. Here's your replay of how it happened. Let's see how close this was.
800? No, 799.
Nice. Okay. So pretty close there. The bomb never actually got to hit the Baron, but it looked really damaged.
Yeah, real close. But yeah, we're in a position now. They're hard pinging top side. They want to look for take on top lane turret. It's actually much easier to dive top lane turret than mid, of course. So makes a lot of sense there. Trying to make a play on Iconic, but I mean, he's going to reject that up pretty quickly.
All right, so let's see. The pressure is only mounted in this single lane right now. So against the wave clear power of FlyQuest, it is difficult for the Golden Guardians. You can see Licorice trying to remedy that by pushing up in mid lane, create a two-pronged threat. And let's see if they can get these waves synced up enough to make it work.
Yeah, they really do need to work on syncing up these waves. So it's not going to happen from the Renekton side because Camille does have a lot of pressure now that he's going to have to deal with. And you're always going to be looking towards Galio starting fight on top of that when she gets confident.
Yeah.
So it's going to be on Golden Guardians to get a push here and try and bail them out. Let's see if we got something.
JoseDeodo jumping in there, just grabbing a little bit of damage onto Iconic. Remember, though, the Zac does have passive. Licorice has Guardian Angel. The front line of the Golden Guardians should be set up to just dive in with complete reckless abandon if that's what needs to be done. Mid lane tier 3 turret is down to about 20% of its health. This top lane inhibitor turret down to about half, just a little bit more than that. Golden Guardians continuing to apply the pressure. 1 minute left on the Baron.
You can get something here. Tomo's pretty low.
Tomo at
if
half
anything,
HP.
They might just turn mid because it is so low and the minions are going to do their own job. So here we go.
Iconic has already jumped in. A lot of pressure down into Kumo here, but the Galio has arrived. A lot of damage comes through, and it's Iconic the first to die. Stun coming in, another resurrection force. Both of the revives have now been used by the front line of the Golden Guardians. Of FlyQuest is looking to fight with FlyQuest having to flash away. JoseDeodo with the shutdown into Stixxay, and that is huge. Palafox will die to AblazeOlive. It is a 1-for-1, but remember that they also got 2 bonuses, taking out both the revives of the Golden Guardians. FlyQuest hold the line.
So you can see how hard it is here for Golden Guardians, but in reality, you know, hard pushing mid with 2 and then rotating topside, because you just need at least one person answering the wave when you end up doing it. They try to actually come in and make this a 2v1 with Zac in tow. Galio finds that opportunity, and that's a lot of damage from the Ziggs that just straight up blew up Iconic there.
Yeah.
So now when he comes back, he's not really in fighting mood. I mean,
this is a Void Staff Horizon Focus Ziggs. He doesn't really care that you have 1 Negatron Cloak and your Mythic Vommies item. That's not enough to survive against all that incredible burst. You can see Abyssal Mask now done there too, to at least give Iconic a little bit more survivability. But FlyQuest are holding the line, Raz.
Yep, and so it's going to turn into a soul fight here for Golden Guardians. They have positioning here first. Tristana's going to be coming up through mid. They still do need one more mid lane wave now that Trist is coming here to fight for. They don't want to lose control of that. But they seem pretty firmly comfortable here. And it's going to be FlyQuest that are going to look for another steal attempt. You know, no flash there from JoseDeodo. I don't think he's ever going to sacrifice himself, but another Ziggs bomb. Couldn't play it.
Diamond could be the target, and he should disappear here, but a good stasis buys him the time. Diamond stays alive. FlyQuest are able to chase away the Golden Guardians. Stixxay and Iconic, both incredibly low on HP. Hextech Ultimatum is issued, but Licorice is not a target they'll be able to burst down. They do get his ulti. Holy moly, man. FlyQuest punching back.
Yeah, this Ziggs pick is just a straight MVP. They try and go for that engage on the Tahm Kench, and Tomo just blows Stixxay up. He has to go back to base, so really, if Golden Guardians want to fight for this, it's going to be an extended pull. FlyQuest are not going to play that game.
FlyQuest have teleports on both of those solo laners. Tomo is rather low on mana right about now. That is another concern. It looks like FlyQuest are just going to opt to give this away.
Cap.
Yep.
These are the worst games for, you know, your coaching staff. Because you know Golden Guardians are not, it doesn't feel like they're ever going to be comfortable coordinating a dive. Because they know if they mess up, the game's completely thrown away. So they're just going to slowly take up dragons and try to pull FlyQuest, you know, towards these objectives. And then FlyQuest is just fine up, scaling up. We said that this composition from them, it'll be incredibly strong in both side lane push and team fight at some point.
Yeah.
We're getting to that point. And so now, Elder Dragon.
Yeah, we're also now at the point, that's what I wanted to bring up. If FlyQuest chose to fight for the Mountain Soul, they're at a point where if you win, hey, great, here's your prize. It's one crappy dragon.
Yep.
If you lose, you probably just lose the entire game after getting aced after a team fight into giving them the soul and all that. It's really bad. Now you have an objective 6 minutes from now that you can fight for and legitimately win the game off of with the Elder Dragon buff. So that's the thing that I'm really going to be looking at here in 5 minutes time. But right now in 20 seconds, we will have our third Baron of the game. Golden Guardians have secured both of the previous two. FlyQuest not able to really contest that too well as Kumo wants to disengage. Doesn't time that hook shot properly. Devoured by the Tahm Kench. Into the ground he goes. Holy cow, he managed to buffer that and pull Chime all the way back with the Zenith Blade. Yes, that is an intended interaction. Chime hooks onto him right at the exact time when he's diving into the ground, so it just pulls him all the way back.
That's definitely probably more exciting than Marxie's trip to Disneyland. I'm putting that out there. He's hearing that one. That was a ride. Here's another play for, hey, this would be a really good Baron for Golden Guardians because that mid lane inner turret is so low. They're going to fight for this.
JoseDeodo's looking for the opportunity to go in, but he just instantly loses his Guardian Angel instead. Kumo's now stuck in the middle of 3 different players. He's going to die first. FlyQuest are not having a great fight, but Stixxay will kill off Tomo. The Ziggs is already gone. The Golden Guardians are decimating them. And with a double kill for the Syndra, Golden Guardians will end the game here.
It starts with a pick on JoseDeodo, and even though he's the sole survivor on that one, FlyQuest came in, doubled down to protect him, and that was their Achilles heel. You can't do a damn thing about this, Jose.
It felt like FlyQuest just lost the thing that was keeping them in this game. They were playing defensively. They were playing around a Ziggs, but then when they go in, it does not work. Golden Guardians are there. Golden Guardians are ready. And Golden Guardians, in what might be one of the most important games for them the whole damn season, Raz, they're going to tie it up with FlyQuest with 2 games to play.
And they win the head-to-head. If it ever comes to that, Flowers, it was 2-2 before that for the full season. Now it's 3-2 in favor of Golden Guardians. This was a pivotal game for them.
Golden Guardians taking down FlyQuest, earning themselves this win here in week number 9. They had a bit of difficulty closing out against the Ziggs, but they built really nice early game leads for themselves, and you pointed out how they were playing carefully so as to avoid some of the mistakes that we saw in week 8.
Exactly. If you don't feel like you can execute, then just don't, right? Put that stuff in practice. You had enough practice at this point. If you don't feel like you're going to be able to do it, then slow it down. They did just that. The third Baron, I feel like, was going to be a lot better because the minion damage to turrets at this point made it easier for them to try and push for inhibitors, and FlyQuest knew that. If FlyQuest played the last 2 fights, had they played that, or at least, no, played that fight they did the last few, where they were completely fine on Golden Guardians engaging on them and saying, okay, we still have Ziggs Bomb that is just going to obliterate Syndra and the rest of the backline, then I think they would have played a much better part. But they got picked off. JoseDeodo went down first, of course. The rest tried to save him, and it was pretty rough from that point.
Yeah, you could see that JoseDeodo, his plan, he wanted to be in the pit. Like, they wanted to actually contest this Baron. Yeah. They wanted a 50-50 as opposed to just giving it away, right? But a good response from the Golden Guardians, having that 3-man collapse on him. He has to even defensively ult over the wall, but he still dies, losing the Guardian Angel, and the Golden Guardians just make it happen. With that win, Golden Guardians keep their playoff dreams alive. And on the other side of the break, Dash is going to be talking with Iconic